So, what's up, everybody? This is Dennis Sperling, your favorite personal injury lawyer. Talking to you all today about a very interesting subject that I find intriguing, and this is something that I've been weighing out for about a couple of weeks. What do you do when your friends become your enemies? Did you anticipate it, or did they catch you by surprise? Interestingly enough, this is not something that's germane to my way of thinking, and I think if we can go to pop culture and the recent Marvel movies, there was a Marvel movie where Tony Stark, the Iron Man, was presented with an opportunity to test his Hulkbuster suit out on the Incredible Hulk. It was the one where there was an invasion in New York, and Loki, who is Thor's brother, had used a staff with an Infinity Stone and caused Bruce Banner to go crazy and become the Hulk. It was all in his plan, because he wanted the Hulk to basically destroy the city. Interestingly enough, Tony Stark already had a Hulkbuster suit ready-made for the event, hovering above. It's almost as though he's anticipated that his friend David Banner, or Bruce Banner, I'm sorry, would at some point become his enemy or his adversary, depending on how you want to picture it, how you want to state it. I found it interesting because even in the lead up to the actual fight, once Tony Stark was fully armored with his Hulkbuster suit, he did something that most people don't catch. He purposely aggravated the Incredible Hulk when he said, "Hey, you're better than this, Bruce, you're better than this." And when the Hulk heard that, he said he wanted to squash puny Banner or something like that, and that simply enraged him. You can't tell me that Tony Stark didn't know that those would be fighting words to an already enraged Hulk. He wanted to test his suit. He wanted to test his Hulkbuster suit on Bruce Banner to see how well he did. That's what made Thanos afraid of Tony Stark, or Iron Man, because he and Tony thought the same. They had the same way of thinking. This is someone who studies his opponent, who figures out what their weaknesses are, and who prepares for them. I know some of you are looking like, why is Dennis using this Marvel comic reference? Because I know most of you all are familiar with it, and as opposed to going to a biblical verse and using that, I'm using something that you all can relate to. I'm laying it down where the cows can eat it, so to speak. So anyway, I believe that is why Thanos said to Tony, "You're not the only one cursed with knowledge." Knowledge, a way of thinking that only certain people are gifted with. I happen to be one of those people. And although it's not a gift, it's more like a curse, because you're always anticipating not just what your friends will do, but also your adversaries, because your friends can turn into your adversaries. So you're always anticipating threats. In my law office, one of the first things I tell my young associates, young lawyers that work with me, also my employees, the lawyers, the opposing counsel is not your friend, the judge is not your friend, the jury is not your friend, your co-counsel is not your friend, the client is not your friend. And then I top it all off and say, you're not even your own friend. Because if you were truly a friend, you would not be in this bullshit line of work where you're up all night anticipating threats. In order to do this, in order to have this sort of mindset, you have had to be a victim. You have had to be unprepared. You have to be constantly on the defensive. It causes for a lot of sleepless nights. You're always anticipating conflict. You're always anticipating war. You're always anticipating even the people you care about turning against you. Tony Stark even had a contingency plan for Pepper Potts, his girlfriend, his lifelong. Remember when he created her suit, he has the override button to cause for her suit to do whatever he wants it to do. Not because he didn't trust her in the sense that she might turn on him, but I'm sure he's contemplated that. But he didn't trust her to be able to take care of herself. That's why he slipped her a device or an ornament or an object or whatever, piece of jewelry, that whenever he wanted to capture her and send her away, he could basically sick his Iron Man suit on her, capture her, and fly her off against her will if he wanted to. So I say that to say, what do you do when your friends become your enemies? See, let me lay it down for you more. That lady that you love, that beautiful ex-wife, that beautiful baby's mama that you're all in love with, what do you do when she becomes your enemy? Did you anticipate that she might become your enemy? What do you do when your father becomes your enemy? What do you do when your mother becomes your enemy? What do you do when your best friend becomes your enemy? Did you anticipate their strengths and their weaknesses like Tony Stark did with the Hulkbuster suit? Look at some of the things he did. He knew that if he hit Hulk in his head enough times, he could basically knock some sense into him. And so what, he had that jackhammer punch. He just stood over them and just with the jackhammer, just let go. Bam, 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 bam. He even crashed him through a building, which was the only thing that brought him back out of his senses or knocked him out. He anticipated that. He anticipated that that would be the way he can do. And I'm not about to have a Marvel Comics debate with all you guys. I'm just looking at the story for what it is. I'm looking at Tony Stark as one of those people who is a special character, almost a biblical character, because Marvel Comics and these other comic books, this is the modern day. These are the modern day Bible story. These are the heroes and the heroines. This is the fight between good and evil. And sometimes the lines are blurred. Sometimes even our heroes do things that don't seem moral or don't seem as though they are good and righteous and upright. And so we have to deal with that. So just like the Greek gods and the Roman gods, our heroes are imperfect. And if you look at the Holy Bible, our heroes were imperfect. And so when I look at Marvel Comics and I look at the Bible and I look at the stories and I try to understand the allegories, I can see the line that goes between that. This is the story of the human condition. These are gods. These are our modern day demigods. And so they're telling us a story. With all their superpower, they're flawed. And so it's no wonder that sometimes those who are so holy and righteous can oftentimes turn dark. Look at Captain America. In the movie where Endgame, he actually turned against America and became a criminal that America was looking for. So what does that tell you? Even the brightest of our stars can be tarnished. You see? Even those with superheroes, even those with the greatest intention. He sided with a known criminal and assassin, his good friend, the White Wolf, as they called him in Wakanda, or Winter Soldier, Bucky. And I know you guys are like, Dennis, why are you talking about Marvel? Why do you know this stuff so well? Because I think about these things, and I'm trying to lay this down where the cows can eat it. What do you do when your friends become your enemies? Are you anticipating that woman that you love may someday turn on you? What do you do to prepare for that? I'm just asking. When she stops being your girlfriend and becomes your wife or your baby mama, have you anticipated? Do you have the stomach to fight against your friends? Is the relationship salvageable? What is the ultimate win here? What are we trying to do? Are we trying to destroy this person? Is this something that we have to do? Can you do that? What are going to be what's going to be the fallout of that? What are the ramifications if you destroy your baby mama and you got a child with this woman, or your ex-wife? Are you anticipating that? Have you thought that deeply into this question? Because I know, being human beings, you can become angered, or your loyalty can be stretched, and you may have to choose between friends, and you have to side with one over the other. Same way as in the Marvel Comics with the movie Civil War. They loved each other. But Clint and Black Widow had to fight each other because they were on different sides. So what do you do with that? What do you do with that? How do you deal with that? And this is something that thinking men have to think about. Because unfortunately, human beings are not perfect. And they are subject to their feelings, their emotions, and their senses of morality. And so sometimes that sense of morality, their morals may not be aligned with yours. And in a situation like that, you find yourself adverse to even maybe your brother. So what do? What if Abel figured out that Cain was planning on slaying him? What would Abel do? Would he then go out and say, you know what, I'm going to get you before you get me? Then would it be the story of Abel slew Cain? Why did he do that? Who knows? So, in this lesson, I want you men to think. Look at your closest friend. And this is going to be painful for many of you. And some of you are going to say, oh, that's immoral, Dennis. How dare you? Look at your closest friend. Have you assessed his weaknesses? Have you assessed his strengths? Your woman, your wife. Have you figured out what her angles are? Have you figured out what it is she would be going for if she was trying to take you down? Have you thought about that? Maybe you haven't. Maybe this is something that you, oh my God, I can't believe you did. But you know, with divorce court, child custody court, maybe it's something you should think about. Maybe you should go defensive as soon as you meet someone. I promise you, women do all the time because they're taught to think like that. Because in order to develop that mindset, you have to have had to endure some trauma. You have to have had things taken away from you. I'm not talking about having your bike stolen in the 5th grade. I'm talking about people really close to you taken away, or you've had to be crushed or nearly crushed or broken. And so you're tired of people taking things away from you, so you develop a sort of distrust. This is the thing that Thanos and Tony Stark had in common. They had this immense distrust of everybody around them. That's why they were okay with having people around them that they couldn't trust, because they were used to it. How would you call someone your daughter? And I'm talking about the young lady that played in the movie with him. You call these two girls your daughter when you've done such terrible things to them. You've destroyed this young woman's whole family, and you raised her up as your own, and you refer to her as your daughter. How could you have someone around you that you innately should not be able to trust unless you are able to exist in a set of circumstances or in an environment where you just didn't trust anybody? So there's levels to the distrust that you have. The person that you call friend or daughter or family or son, there's a level of distrust that you, in that world, that you have. And if you don't believe me, look at all the family members that have gone into business together. Why do you think they break up? Because they realize, oh my God, I can't trust this person. Because there are some things that even supersede familial ties. They supersede friendly ties. Oftentimes that's money. Sometimes it could be more emotional things like ego and emotions. But the bottom line is, have you anticipated that your friends will turn against you? And I know this is new for me. I know you all really haven't heard me speak to you like this, but it's because I actually have turned a corner in my own personal life. I've decided to lay down the sword. I don't want to fight anymore. Now, of course, I'm going to continue practicing law, but my whole point is I'm at the point now in my life that I don't want to fight anymore. I've been at war my entire life. Those same people that I've mentioned earlier, those names, those familial ties, I've been at war with all those people. Women that I've loved, women that have proclaimed their love for me, parents, mother, father, family members, business associates. And so what I've decided to do is put my as the old song goes, I don't study war no more. And so I'm okay with sharing this information with you all. Now, I will tell you that there is a certain thrill There's a certain benefit. There's a certain excitement that comes along with war, with conflict, and being able to resolve conflict, to be able to exercise extreme prejudice against others, to bring them harm and discomfort, to keep them up at night, thinking about what you're going to do next. And it's addictive. And I've been there before. And if you're not careful, you will begin to enjoy it, just like those who like to thrill seek, bungee jumping, skydiving, things that are dangerous for you. And just like waging conflict, even when you become excellent at it, it becomes addictive. It becomes something that you seek. And what you'll realize is that you like it, you enjoy it, and so it comes to you, because that's the energy you put out. That's what you young people say, the energy. Your energy attracts conflict to you. And I'm at the stage in my life that I don't want to be at war anymore. I don't want conflict. I simply want peace. Now, there was a time when I would tell myself, well, you have got to be able to wage war. You've got to be able to resolve conflict in order to have peace. And that is true to a certain degree. But then there's also, that should be tempered with the fact that sometimes you can be looking for conflict. You could be making conflict where there needs not to be conflict. Some wars are not worth fighting. Some battles are not worth fighting. Even some friends who turn their back on you. Some friends who turn against you. Sometimes you have to put it in God's hands. Now, there's sometimes when you'll be pushed into a corner and you have to fight. But oftentimes there's another way. Now, many of you may say, oh, that's weak. And you might be right. To some people, that is weak. But as a person who is, whether it's physical contact, physical conflict, intellectual battles, even spiritual battles, I've done it all. And I would say that I've been very successful at it. It's taught me many things. It's helped me attain many things in life, but it's worn on me. I'm tired. You see? I'm very tired. To the point now, I'm willing to pay other people to wage war for me, which is why I have associates and other lawyers that help me out, just because, you know, these little battles. I didn't care if it was a medical doctor that wouldn't reduce his bill enough for my client to get more money. I sued the hospital one time, and they treated my client because they wouldn't reduce their bill. Think about that. The hospital that saved my client's life, I sued them because they wouldn't reduce their bill so that my client could get more money. What does that tell you about me? There's probably not a company in the United States, a trucking company, a department store, insurance company that I haven't sued on behalf of one of my clients. So what does that tell? How litigious have I been in the past 20 years? So I have become very good at what I do, even to the point where, hell, I've had to sue other lawyers. On occasion, I've had to sue clients. Hell, I'd sue myself if I had to. But what I'm telling you is that and I don't want to sound like a bad person, but I'm telling you that I would not have been able to do that had I not anticipated that I might have had to do that. Like that Tony Stark character in Marvel, who created the Hulkbuster suit before he even had to fight the Hulk, because he anticipated. And I guarantee you, he also has a Thor Buster suit, and a Captain America Buster suit, and a Black Panther Buster suit. Or if, you know, in other words, he has contingency plans for all his allies. So don't be foolish, young men, older men. Don't anticipate that this person who you love, this person who you trust, will never turn their back on you or never try to betray you. If they don't, that's wonderful. But you still need to have a contingency plan. That may be harsh, you know, but it's the reality that we live in. And I hope you all take this in the right way. I don't want to come off as overly combative. I don't want to come off as paranoid. But in this world where everybody's trying to come up for free, people want to take your houses, they want to take your girlfriend, they want to take your children from you in divorce court, they want to take your wealth in family court, they want to fire you, your job wants to assassinate your character if you quit. Hell, your employees want to assassinate your company if they leave and they're disgruntled. You still have to anticipate that sometimes bad things happen and good people do bad things. And so, again, be prepared. Think about the story of the Israelites when they went back to the promised land. What did they do? They invaded and they slaughtered even their friends because the Lord said so. Now, I don't know what God those other folks were praying to, but I'm sure their God didn't say just lay down and let these Israelites kill you off, because this is their promised land and they're due it. So why didn't those people who were friendly with the Israelites anticipate that the Israelites may at some point want to attack them? I don't know. I have no idea. But it would behoove you to take that lesson and recognize that even good people can turn their back on you. Even good people can betray you. Even good people will try to attack you. See, I flipped the script now. See, I went from telling you that you may have to attack, even your friends may attack you, your family may attack you, to telling you that, or telling you that you may have to attack them, or actually, you may have to. I flipped from you may have to attack your friends to your friends may attack you. So what do you do? What do you do when your family member turns their back on your own brother or sister, tries to cut you out of the will? Your stepmother who helped raise you tries to take all the money for herself, and you caught up in familial ties and love and emotions, and they've already contrived a plan to rob you of your inheritance. What do you do? What do you do, ladies, when your husband wants to leave you for a younger woman and you have given him your entire youth? You know, he married you when you were 25, and now that you're 45 and he's 50, he wants to reach back and find himself a hot, fine young woman of maybe 25 or 26 years old. What do you do then? Have you anticipated that? Women often do. Matter of fact, they have a court system set up that benefits women when men try to do that. That's why the system is skewed like that, because men used to do that all the time. That's just the reality of it. But I want you all to think about that. What do you do when your friends become your enemies? Now again, I could go into some biblical verses, but I've used the Marvel comic universe because I know that many of you all read and you all like those stories, and I know that's relatable, and it's important for a storyteller to be able to convey his message to the audience that's listening. And I know there are a lot of young men out there, and I like those Marvel stories too, but there's so much more there than what the storyline seems to be. And that's why I wanted to kind of relate that whole thing with Iron Man, Tony Stark. I thought it was an interesting story. There's so many jewels in there that can be applied in real life. Protect yourselves. I've been one to go into situations naive, thinking that people love me, care about me, that would never bring me any harm. And then when they show their fangs and they try to bite me or destroy me or kill me, I barely survive. I've had to deal with that. And so now I just anticipate it. Now, I'm going to tell you this, and this is a good lesson for you all. When you do find a real friend, and in my book, Rules to Live By, How to Maintain Peace of Mind and Happiness in a Conflicted World, I tell you the definition of a real friend, and I will tell you all this now. A real friend is someone who will set aside his own best interest to do what's in your best interest. That's a real friend. A real friend will do what's in your best interest, even if it goes against what's in his best interest or her best interest. That is a real friend. You shouldn't call anybody else friend other than somebody who will do that. Somebody who will take a bullet for you, that's your friend. Somebody who will give you that last bit of money even if they have to go without, that's a fucking friend. Somebody who will come and see about you when nobody else will, that's a friend. And that's for whatever reason. That's a real friend. And when you have one of those, you should trust that person. I had a real friend like that. His name was Achilles Stewart. He was a real friend. He had my back. I loved him. It's just like my little brother. I met him in college. I don't have that friend anymore. My friend has passed away. Unfortunately, he was shot to death like so many other black men, and it hurts me deeply today to think about that loss. Here I am 8 years after he's passed away, and it still bothers me. We also have family members that are actually friends, and we have family members that are enemies. A family member can also be a friend. And as I said, a family member can also be an enemy, so you have to anticipate that also. Don't just cut your family members a break just because they're your cousin or your brother, your sister, your mama, auntie, uncle. I know uncles that sleep with your wife. You bring your wife home and the uncle is trying to seduce your wife, or your cousin, or your brother, or your daddy or your granddaddy. So think about that. I hope I haven't gone too far. I hope I haven't offended too many people. I hope you all take this message to heart, you men. It would be a tragedy if you built yourself up and you surrounded yourself by snakes, and then they destroyed you because you didn't anticipate those snakes that are around you, because you didn't see them for what they were, because you didn't prepare a defense against those people. It would be a tragedy for you to spend your whole life making yourself better than fashioning yourself into the man that God wants you to be, just to turn out to be a lamb, to be brought as a lamb to the slaughter, because you didn't anticipate who you really are. They wouldn't be attacking you if you didn't have something that they wanted. So be thankful for the things that you have. Be thankful, be gracious with it. Don't look for fights, but be prepared for the fight, no matter where it may come from. This is Dennis Sperling, Uncle D to the homies. I love you. Please take this message. If you don't believe the words I'm speaking, read your Bibles. It's in there. Review that movie I told you about, Marvel Comics, and you'll see those same elements of the human condition are in there, and they're the Bible, and you can see them around in popular culture. You don't have to look in an ancient text, and you don't have to look at a movie. There are people that'll tell you about situations like this that have happened to them, and they weren't ready. They weren't ready. When their longtime friend found out that they just got that record deal, and then tried to set them up to get them jacked, or found out that they was about to go to the pros, or their baby mama called the police on them when they found out he was doing better and about to get married, or when the ex-wife found out that the husband had a new, the man had a new woman in the house, and now she wants to take the children away, or dump the children off on him, so the new wife and the ex-husband have to deal with the kids now, put more stress on their relationship. A woman is supposed to love him, vice versa. Your ex-man find out you got a new man, so he want to come hang out and park out in front of the house and give that new man a hard time. There's so many different stories. You don't have to look to the Bible for that. You can look around in your own life. So ask yourself, are you prepared to deal with that? Do you have a defense set up for that? Do you have a contingency plan for those enemies that will come? Those enemies that were first friends and now are now enemies. Sun Tzu talks about that. Sun Tzu says that once a friend becomes an enemy, he can never go back to being a friend again, because you can never trust him. So I'll take that, and I'll end this. But again, this is Uncle D. I love you. You know, I hope this helps. I hope this hits somebody in the right place. I hope you understand that I don't mean to wage war. I'm tired of waging war. I want the Lord to fight all my battles for me. I fought so many. And my in-house preacher, Israel Fuentes, is on here. And he'll understand what I'm talking about. I'm tired of war. I put it up to the Lord's hands now. I'm tired. I want to lay my sword down. You see, I'm going to let the Lord fight my battles for me. Anyway, God bless you. I love you. And I'm out.